all started now. This day's a turning point in my life. The day I begin living my life from the inside out. And I am transformed. I am transformed.
Hi everyone, my name is Maria Mirkovich and I'm your host for Family Today. This show is for everyone. It's for parents, grandparents, and young adults. How many of you would like to know more about traveling? These days, you know, we are living in interesting times, and here to talk about these times, about viruses, about traveling, about, you know, holding things up, viruses, I have two guests. Theo Tilton, who's a life coach, and also Nidhi Pandya, who will join us and talk about it, about this time and what we are experiencing these days. Welcome, both of you again.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thanks for
Thank
having
you,
us.
Maria.
Yeah.
So Nidhi, what do you think of, like, you are going to Italy, and I mentioned it in the previous segment, on June. And now you're changing the date because of this, what is going on today.
Right. Right, absolutely. I mean, because mine is a retreat, and not enough people want to come and travel in this time, and a lot of people are scared. There's a great panic and fear, which I think is supported by the ease of, you know, how easily news is spread today. So I feel like that has a large part to do with the panic and the scare that's out there. Is like, for the first time, we have the access to WhatsApp and social media, just as quick as we speak, you know, just things happen and they're out there in the press and we can all see it. And I feel like that panic has really a lot more to do with the virus, more to do than the virus itself.
Yes,
that's how I feel.
I heard it 1,001 times to wash your hands. My hands are dry already from washing them. I think it's all definitely like a hype almost. But it is true that a lot of people, especially in Italy, they're dying of this flu, influenza, coronavirus, whatever you want to call it. It is coronavirus. That's what's going on.
Yeah.
That's what we hear in the news. What would you say, Theo?
Well, thank you for asking. I think that there's medical science, right? So there's conventional medical science. We know, wash your hands. Like, we know that this prevents the spreading of disease because you're going to end up touching your face or something like that. It's just normal human behavior. And we also know through the studies of epidemiology how diseases travel through populations. And this is part of the collective consciousness of the planet. So as the media, like all the media is doing is actually bolstering and giving more energy to a collective consciousness that already exists. But the secret, I think, to this is it's not to not pay attention to it. We have access to this information. It's great. I'll wash my hands. I'll use napkins. I'll use these things. And I'm not going to let it disrupt my life. You know, we have power over our own dominion. We have dominion over our own experience. And so if one wants to travel and, you know, be in community spaces, they use conventional wisdom to protect themselves and not let their life stop. That's my personal.
What do you think about that?
I think it was very, very well said that yes, it is real. It's definitely a condition and it's out there. It's prevalent today. And if you use basic precaution, I would just like to add a couple of more precautions from the Ayurvedic perspective, which I think really work as well. And we do that, but we don't disrupt our lives. I mean, we've gone past, like I say, war and slavery and polio and plague. We can get past this. It's going to happen. We have to have faith. But a couple of things, you know, Maria, that I think are very useful, right? There's something called a neti pot, which a lot of people are already
the neti
using.
pot, yes.
Right. So that allows you to keep your nasal passages clean and the environment good inside that. The truth is, when these passages are clean, at least this area you're protecting. Neti actually protects all the way even to your eyes as well.
They're saying be careful with the eyes too, because they
Yes.
take it, even if you're wearing a mask.
Even if you're wearing a mask. And the second thing is to do something called nasya, which are these nostril drops. It's called nasya, N-A-S.
Nasya.
YA, you can get Nasya. This is also, comes from Ayurveda, but it's available widely now. And you put 2 drops in your nose, and what it does, it kind of, this whole area, ENT area, it kind of goes and resets the environment in that neighborhood. And by doing that, right, you're already protecting your immune system. And again, I'll go back to saying not having cold, because the minute everything slows down here, you have phlegm congestion. Phlegm is sticky. All kind of viruses and bacteria will stick to that phlegm. Let's keep this whole region clean, free flowing. You can do breathing, pranayama, which are breathing exercises.
Pranayama.
Right? and go with it. Live your life,
Live your life. But a lot of people are holding off for their vacation. So how do you explain that?
Yeah.
I think it's fair. I think if you don't take vacations one year, and if you feel like the panic or the scare is so much, I think it's okay to not travel far and wide. Look, that's not disrupting your everyday life. But when we start panicking in front of our children and create this whole environment, like you said, we're giving more energy to that. Not only are we doing that, we're actually living in constant fight or flight mode. Your body is releasing cortisol. Before corona will get to you, your own body, your own state will kill you.
Get you. You're right. Exactly.
So let's not stay in that state. Let's at least be like, hey, if you're going to get me, let me be stronger for you.
But going back to Italy, you're not going in June. And because a lot of people are going to be canceling, and there's a lot of things that will cancel these days. Yeah, that's the truth. So
there's also legal systems. That, they're stopping tourism. The global markets, froze today. Things like that.
They did.
So there's things that are occurring that are just naturally disrupting it. Even if a person wanted to go, they would be disrupted in going.
Basically, Theo. Yeah, basically that's what's happening. It's the logistics of it all that's not working out.
But okay, back to Italy. I guess I'm talking about Italy a lot. Yes, because I live there. I grew up there. Yes, and I was thinking of going this summer, but I unfortunately now my plans have changed for now. Why are people dying? By 20 people? I'm not sure. I'm not going to quote it because
You mean why people are dying because of the coronavirus?
Daily they're dying. So many. There's a number that they say on the news.
Every day.
It doesn't come to mind now. Every day they're dying.
With the virus.
Just like in China, yeah.
Right. So of course, our immune systems are not used to fighting.
And they're in the lockdown.
Yeah, and so our immune systems are not used to fighting these new and novel things. We're just used to fighting disease with medication. We're not used to fighting disease strengthening our own inner systems. And this is again where Ayurveda comes up, right? Because how many vaccines, how many antibiotics, how many drugs are you really going to produce, The truth is, all organisms in the world, whether it's a virus or a bacteria, has the power. They also have their internal survival skills. They will mutate and come back. Just as human beings we evolve to survive, they evolve to survive as well. So the only way you can do this is, it's the survival of the fittest. It's not survival of the fittest drug, it's survival of the fittest species.
That brings up a great point. So how much of this do you think has a lot to do with the nourishment? So if the community at large who is they're eating more and more in the modern world processed foods.
Right.
So as opposed to really natural based foods, which actually boosts the immune system.
Right, absolutely.
And you're eating now something out of a box or a can or a bucket, however it comes.
Right.
And it doesn't have the natural ability to nourish the body so that your immune system is like on fire with being the power to heal.
Right, absolutely. I'm so with you. And Theo, like the one thing that I ask people all the time, and I'm going to ask you both, right? When you have, you have your 3 bins, and you have like this, you have a paper recycling, you have a compost bin where you have potato peels and whatever, your food. And then you have like, let's say plastic and all of that other junk. And when you trash everything out, right? And let's say you make 3 holes in the earth and you put all 3 of them in separate piles. Which one is going to disintegrate first? Is it the paper? Is it the compost? Is it all that other junk? The compost, right? So the whole thing that I tell people is, right, what comes from the earth understands and knows how to break down. That's exactly how our bodies are. If it comes from the planet, everything in nature understands itself really well.
There's like a harmony between
There's
all
a harmony, there's a symbiotic relationship. If it comes from nature, your body already knows what to do with it. It's like, hey, welcome home. I know what to do with you now. Versus anything that's processed. Now you take the same meat and you put it in a can and you process it and you do 10 other things to it. It becomes like even paper, right? Paper is technically natural, but even paper it breaks down much harder, takes much longer than compost. Every step you take towards processing your food is going to make that journey of digestion much harder for your body. So the more natural, like literally farm to table, stove to table, oven to table, I think all of these concepts, are really the ones that we
In Italy, they love to buy fresh foods. They love to cook.
Yeah.
They love to serve their families on the table, eating, right? Even up to date, when I was a little girl, growing up, that was really religious. And then later they got a little bit more modernized, but they still believe in fresh buying food. Now they can't get out of the house, and now I don't think they cooking
typical
as
practice
fresh.
right in Europe is to buy just for the day or a couple of days.
Yeah.
So
Do you do that?
The American concept of buying groceries for a month because it will last a month because of the preservatives.
A lot of people are in the stores now
doesn't
because
exist in other
yeah,
countries,
because of this coronavirus spreading news. So a lot of people are really hoarding the food. They're really out there in the stores. The other day I went to get water. There was no water on the shelves. I go, what? Ooh. But there is something going on more than meets the eye, I think. What do you guys think?
I don't know.
Possibly. I think right now only time is going to tell, but I do believe that anytime we experience anything like that, it's a reminder to us to really come back to our natural living, to coming back to boost our immunity, because today it's corona. God knows what it's going to be tomorrow. It was swine flu back in the day. It was it's been SARS, and one thing after the other. The only way for us to survive this is to is how we evolve, how we strengthen our inner bodies to be able to fight these.
And exercising. What if we can't go out of the house?
Exercise
We could exercise at home.
You can exercise at home. I mean, and that is the advantage of technology today. Let's say that you need guided exercising. You go on YouTube, you can see 100 videos. I mean, even with yoga.
Especially mine.
Yeah, of course, Maria, you've wealth of knowledge there, right? So you definitely can. It doesn't prevent us. I think it's a great reminder for us to really re-examine the way we've been living.
For sure. That I really, it took my heart, what you just said.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a confirmation.
Yeah.
It's going back to, what's really important to us and what you just said.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, one could say, it depending on the perspective of how you're looking at this. Somebody who's, let's say, more spiritual or religiously inclined, they may look at this and say, okay, well, what's actually going on in the collective of the globe that is giving this as a reflection of the internal? Because it's saying, the microcosm is a mirror of the macrocosm.
Yes.
So what's going on in the world is the same thing that's going on within. So it's not necessarily you or me or Nidhi specifically, but as a collective, as a society, there's something going on within that has this whole thing be out in the world in the first place. So we could do things like that, and spiritual leaders would say something like that. Hey, why don't we look at ourselves first and see what's going on? Where are we at war with ourselves? Where are we, attacking our own immunity within? And because what we're experiencing in the outside world is just a reflection of
us.
Yeah,
who we are. So change our perspective of thinking, change our inner thoughts. What else would you say?
Right, and I think that's a great point. Also, let's say for whatever reason, right, your lifespan is compromised. Let's say anybody's lifespan is compromised. I think this comes as a reminder that whatever remaining lifespan you have, to work on your triggers, whether it's 20 years, whether it's 50 years.
Yes.
It's knowing thyself. I think, like you said, all of this is a reminder to know thyself,
So going back, excuse me,
of course.
To the addiction, because knowing thyself and then knowing what triggers you, because a lot of people don't even know that.
Right.
That something triggers them. and you cannot outcome it. You cannot win it. Like with the addiction, a lot of people, I'm just going to say drugs, for lack of, so we know what we're talking about. A lot of people cannot win that.
Yeah, what I say to clients is I'll say you can never outperform your self-confidence. So your self-interpretation, your authenticity has a certain boundary to it.
Yeah.
And there's something outside of the unknown. There's a limitation, and there's the unknown, Like, I don't know that I don't know. And so it's outside of an experience that I am inside of my own life or my own experience of things. And so from that, what ends up happening is we get limited. We create our own boundary. And so from there, things like the circumstances where it causes anxiety, it causes fear, it's all happening inside of this boundary that we've created for ourselves. So yeah, so another way to what you were saying about
it's like we're caged, like we're in a prison.
Yeah. Yeah, and that fear line, I call it like the electric fence. There's there's an atmosphere around us, and there's an electric fence, and that electric fence is our own perceived limitation. And so anytime we approach the electric fence, we get shocked by it, and we pull back. And the very thing that we desire is actually on the other side.
On the other side.
And we don't know how to do it. So there's a fear line, and it's like stepping into it.
I think, for me at least, and who I coach, I think it's, we kind of know what's on the other side. Some people know what to expect at least, but they're afraid to be alone on it, or to be abandoned on the other side, or something to that effect.
Right.
What would you say to that?
So, there's one thing, right, which I think has really been something that I've been working with even with my clients, is making feelings more bearable. So as a society, right, even when we raise our kids, we're doing everything so that they don't feel, hey, don't feel bad about this.
I know.
Hey, don't be angry about this.
I know.
The truth is, doesn't matter which way, we may not react to our anger, but we're going to feel angry. But teaching our kids from the very youngest generation to be okay with their feelings.
Yes.
Right.
The only reason why we will
100%.
perform an act which is less than optimum in a certain emotion is because that emotion is supposed to be so scary.
Yeah.
It's like this, like when you get a shot, it's okay, look at it.
Yeah.
Versus being like, I don't want to look at it.
Yeah.
So that's how feelings are, feel them, look at them, make them bearable.
But even the language, don't say this and don't say that, and that's gonna really hurt them. What about life? When they grow up, these kids, when they grow up and they see life for the first time, they're gonna collapse if they don't have the strength for it. If they're so used to, don't rock the boat.
We basically have to get used to seeing our entire mental landscape. I feel like when you're in a state and you can really, you see your
landscape.
Yeah, you see it. You see the hills and you see the streams and you see the mountains. You see all the feelings all together. It's beautiful. It's amazing because you can see the happy parts and the sad parts and the anxious parts, and you see all of them together, and you can identify them for each of how they exist. And I feel like self-discovery becomes so much easier. It's like traveling the world, but inside you. And I feel like that kind of works magic with that electric fence that you're talking about, because there's no longer electrocution left, because it's all just observation.
Yeah. Well, the thing that I think becomes shocking once you become aware of it, right?
Yeah.
Is that we're the energy vessel putting the energy into the fence.
Yeah.
So like this shock that we're getting is actually being self-generated.
Yeah, absolutely.
It has nothing to do with a real thing that's actually happening.
Yeah.
It's completely invented.
So true.
So how do you change your pupils' minds when they're afraid to get out of that cage? How do you do that?
For me?
Yeah, with
a baby
your
step.
vision, baby step.
Baby step. So what's one step? What's one step that you can take from where you are with what you have? Like some people come up with great ideas and they think they need $1 million to start it. Right? I want this great health. I have this image. I'm going to be 100 pounds lighter, and they don't even know what the first step is. Well, can you call a few gyms? Like do something very small, but that leads you into the direction of the life that you want to live. And those little baby steps is what actually allows you to permeate through that fence. It allows you to get to the other side without having the fear in place.
Did you see that in your pupils? Did you see that?
All the time.
Oh, you do? Okay,
All the
so
time.
it must be a reward for yourself.
Oh, it's probably I would say it's the most rewarding thing is seeing somebody travel from one position in their life and then they move straight through the other side and they've been limited by 20 years of thought. You know, and
even more sometimes.
Even more sometimes. Sometimes it's an entire life. I had someone yesterday that was almost in their 70s, and they were like, I cannot believe, like, in 3 hours, I got all this information and completely on the other side.
Yeah.
So it's amazing what can happen in the right environment. You know.
In the right environment or in your own environment?
Environment meaning like
the one you create.
The one that I created.
Okay.
In the realm of a workshop or something, I establish an environment for them to feel safe, protected. They can allow vulnerability to come through.
Yesterday was your workshop, and what was it called? The
vision,
topic.
The Vision Workshop.
The Vision.
It's called My Vision 2020.
Your Vision 2020. Now, how do you proceed with that and with the pupil, let's say, to dream their lives? How do you start with that?
That's a great question. So first we get, the Talmud. You know the Talmud?
Talmud.
That's the ancient Jewish text.
Yes.
You know, there's a verse in there that says every single blade of grass has an angel over it saying, grow, grow, grow. And, you know, a seed of grass can land in concrete and it will push through the concrete. That's how much conviction it has to grow. And human beings have the same thing. There is something inside of us that's always alerting us to grow and grow and grow. And it's our longing and discontent in life.
Yeah.
And so if there's a circumstance or situation or condition, event, family member, relationship, it doesn't matter what it is, you may feel a pull or a push. You know, it's said that you're either being pushed by your pain
Oh, absolutely.
or you're being pulled by your desire.
But also pain could make you worse.
A
lot of people, they lie down, and the other people are like warriors. They go through it, through the pain, and become what they want to become.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. So it's in paying attention to those two indicators, the longing and the discontent, that you can actually say, what is this really saying to me?
Yeah.
What are these two indicators really telling me? Oh, I really would love to have this. This is what I would really love to have. And they're using those two indicators of growth to create a vision. And when that happens, there's like a resonance of frequency and energy. And immediately when they start to create it, they speak it out loud, what that vision is, all of a sudden the longing and the discontent starts to dissipate. Because they realize that they're saying something that they really want.
And I am convinced that you as a life coach, I inspire people to it.
Yeah.
They could do it by themselves, but I think they do need some kind of.
Hey, listen, coaches have coaches.
Ground.
Coaches have mentors.
That's the only way to do it.
Yes,
mentors
of
have
course.
mentors. And a lot of people may hear that and say, oh, that sounds like a lot of hubbub, It's a money-making thing or whatever it is. That's not true.
That's not
true. The wealthiest of the wealthy have someone wealthier than they are guiding them along.
To coach them and guiding.
And like this again, I always say this to people, the concept of guru, the concept of having a
Guru,
guru.
Right? All of the ancient Indian texts, everything. If you have a guru in your life is blessed. And a mentor, a life coach, today it's not the same guru system, but you have a mentor or a life coach, it's a paid guru. I mean, how lovely that we have this opportunity. The generation right before ours didn't have gurus or mentors or life coaches. I mean, it's really this prevalent today.
Yeah.
The amount of help we have today is something that I think anybody who comes to me needs to see a life coach or a therapist or a counselor. Anybody, that's the only way I'll work with them, because you've got to work with your mind and your body. In fact,
but what do you mean by that? You coach them and then you send them to others?
So I also coach them, but there's only limited time that I have. So if there's certain work, if there's some inner child work that they need to do something else, I'm like, either you'll be seeing somebody else or you're doubling up your sessions with me.
I do the same thing. As a matter of fact, I send them to do the inner child work.
Yes.
Coupleship sometimes. And that's what I do. And then they come back a little bit more aware
When you say inner
and
child
renewed.
work, are you referring to like possibly shadow work or something like that?
Shadow work
Shadow?
too. Yes, it matters
Kind
what
of,
they're.
yeah.
Yes, the shadow works definitely need to be addressed. I addressed it in Arizona before I became a life coach, and I'm so grateful I did that.
It's really great.
Yeah. The shadow work is addictions again.
Yeah.
Everything,
Turn it into a
right?
Sexual
blessing.
addictions.
All kinds of stuff. In fact, I tell people if you can do it with your mind, don't even bother about the body, because the mind has so much more power,
Yeah.
right? I mean, like the body is definitely more dense and gross, and it takes a longer journey to get where you want to get there. But if you can work with your mind first and create that for yourself, the body will just follow.
Yeah, it's great if you can do both.
It's great if you can
But
do both.
and
nothing
you have
like
to
it.
believe it. You have to be very strong in believing that what you want to do, and you have to surround yourself with the positive, like-minded
So
people,
true.
positive people. Well, positive people, people like what I just said, coaches. And I'm glad you also send your pupils to maybe to do these super healing groups.
Yeah,
Like,
there's
shadow
something
work.
I call partners in believing.
Partners
So-
in belief. Oh,
Yeah.
that's
So if
sounds good.
the concept was created by like Earl Nightingale and all these different gurus from way back, right, 1800s, and like Thomas Edison, they
Yeah.
had masterminds. They had groups of 5 or 6 people.
What
together
about Tesla?
Right? And Tesla.
Nikola Tesla was the
Exactly.
mastermind.
And so today, I would call this like-mindedness and partners in believing. How many times do we share an idea with somebody, and all of a sudden someone shuts the idea down?
Oh yeah.
Like, oh, I want to be an actor or an actress. I want to be an artist. And then the parents are like, no,
Yeah.
you need to come up with something more secure, more safe.
Yes.
And all of a sudden they shut something down. And
I say I built a fire and then you come and drown it with water.
with water. So surround yourself with people who are going to say, you know what, you can do it. And they believe in you that you can do that.
And yet some people that I teach this, they go back to the same people that they hang with who are
And you
really
go back.
not. Yes, they go back, and therefore that holds them back.
Yes.
And it's easier said than done. But these people are attached to those
They're attached.
friends.
They're not
attached.
ready to fuel their fire. The minute you're ready to fuel your fire,
Yes.
the fuel will come.
I guess that, yeah.
There's something I
For
do.
sure.
There's the 3-step process in my workshop. I'm going to give step 2 away right now.
Okay.
So step
Anyway,
2
2
is,
more minutes,
is
so
called
yes.
deciding. When you
when
decide
you
for the
decide.
dream, that's an Italian word, decide, right? So
Decidere.
to cut away. And so it's like when Michelangelo created the statue of David, it said that it was one slab of marble, and all he did was cut away with everything that wasn't David. So when we create a dream life, you have to cut everything away.
So we have 1 more minute.
Love it.
Nidhi, maybe you like to leave my audiences with something.
Right. All I can
that
say, I think I think this was a great discussion that your mind and your body can come together in harmony. What you can dream for yourself in your life, in your goals, in your career, in your relationships, and you can dream for your body, and they can all come together beautifully. Like he said, whatever does not belong, what can make you lose? What is it that's going to make you lose? That's not going to give you that dream life. And I think once we have that figured out, how will I lose? Then you just move towards the win.
Perfect. And dear viewers, please check my website, www.familytoday with Maria Mirkovich. There it is on the screen. And you could check it out. And then if you need to contact my guests, you could do so by contacting me. Thank you. And thank you guys for really sharing. And
Our
you were
pleasure.
wonderful. Thank you so much. Namaste.
Namaste.
Thank you, viewers.
Thanks. Bye.
Until next time.
It all started now. This day's a turning point in my life.